Thank you. I'm really excited about this topic. This is something I hear from women all the time. Most clients of mine, most women I hear from, don't really have a problem attracting men. They attract men, but the ones they actually want, those high quality men, never tend to like stick around or take the relationship to the next level. And so that's what I love talking about and working with women is how to go from, a casual dating situation all the way into a committed relationship.
Doesn't that sound yummy, ladies? And so, of course, I would love to hear from you, Helena. How did you get into this? Why are you so passionate about helping those single women?
That's such a great question. Yeah, so my background's in psychology, like you mentioned. So I've always, loved helping people, helping women in particular, really improve their lives. But really, why I wanted to become a relationship coach was because of my own love life, and the way I was before I turned everything around. For those people who are familiar with my work at all, that I used to attract emotionally unavailable men. And that was the only type of man I was attracted to, men who didn't want to commit, men who just were never going to take the relationship forward towards commitment. So I had to figure out what I was doing, in order to start turning things around.
I love that. And we have that in common, Helena. I was also tracking emotionally unavailable men. And I'm sure all the women who are listening suffering from that same disease. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what shifted for you, right? How you stopped attracting emotionally unavailable men. And also, like, what are some of the steps for the women to go from casual to committed, meaning being respected, being cherished, the man is on time, right? And the man wants to actually be with her consistently.
Absolutely. Yeah, I really like to work with women both from the inside out and the outside in, like both ways at the same time, because I found that's what gets them the fastest results. So what really shifted for me was, I had to start building up my self-esteem and really feeling so good about myself on the inside to start attracting a different kind of man, while at the same time sort of making a decision that from this point forward, I was only going to spend time with men who were 100% available and whose energy was coming towards me consistently. And that just changed everything for me. So that's kind of an overview. And I'd love to talk some more about the specifics of this if you're interested.
That sounds really great. Yeah. And we'll want to really talk about more about specifically confidence, right? And being in your feminine, because that's so much like pieces that I find that women are really missing.
Definitely. Yeah. I talk a lot about masculine and feminine energy, for anyone who's familiar with my story or my work. In case you're not familiar with these terms, anyone who's watching, masculine energy is the part of us that's about doing things and thinking and planning and making decisions. Anytime you need to figure something out or get something done, like if you're working or doing something like that, you're in your masculine energy. And that's a great thing, but when you're with a man, you want to learn how to switch into your feminine energy. And that's the part of us that's about feeling and receiving, being in the moment, experiencing, expressing ourselves, and responding. So what happens a lot of times when, women come to me and they're kind of stuck on a guy who's not moving that relationship forward. And what happens is they're in their masculine energy. They're the ones trying to move things along because the guy's not really doing anything. So that's when I have her shift into her feminine energy, lean back and give the guy a chance, an opportunity to see if he's even capable of stepping up and moving the relationship forward towards commitment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? The leaning back part sounds so easy, but I think when you are in the anxious attachment style, for example, it's a harder thing, right? So what would you say, what makes a difference between women who have the easier time to lean back and just be in that sort of unknown? Because when you lean back in that moment, you don't know yet what the man does, and the women who fill up every space and every second with some action or words because they're so anxious to be in that space. What is the difference, do you find?
That is such a great question. I love that question. Actually, in my experience, my own opinion, a lot of it has to do with your masculine energy. So I've found if your own masculine energy isn't being utilized or employed in your own life, you're going to like turn it onto a man, right? Like if you're on a date or in a potential relationship. And, you know, I always say your masculine energy needs something else to do. You have to like get it in gear for yourself and your own life. Otherwise, like, for example, if you're in a career or maybe a living situation that doesn't feel good to you and you're not taking steps towards improving, you know, these other areas of your life, you're going to try to like make up the difference in your love life, so to speak, and turn that masculine energy onto a man by trying to move things forward, all those things that you said so brilliantly. And if you've ever tried that, you know that it doesn't work. It only pushes the man away when you're leaning forward, when you're anxious, trying to make something happen constantly, or wonder what the next steps are to get, committed to this guy. All that energy just pushes him away on a deep level.
I love that. And I love that you talk about the transition. You didn't say that word, but it's the transition, right? From going from everyday life to your relationship life, and how that then translates into what energy you're predominantly running towards men. Can you say more about that? I'm sure the women are really fascinated by that.
Yeah, I found, it's just my own personal experience and the experiences of all of my clients, right? Once you try it, so leaning back could look like all different kinds of things. It could be leaning back physically. Next time you're with a man, try physically leaning back, leaning away from him while keeping your heart open to him at the same time. If he's a masculine energy man and if he's truly into you, he'll instinctively start to move towards you, lean towards you. It's just a physical demonstration of how this energy exchange works. So physically leaning back is great. Also verbally and emotionally leaning back and mentally leaning back. Practice not even thinking about a man unless he's right in front of you. A lot of women think they're leaning back, but they're actually leaning forward very much mentally in their masculine energy by trying to like analyze a guy or figure him out, right? We've all been there, and it's really easy to slip into this. So when you take your focus off of that man and put it on yourself and your own life, that's when the magic happens. That's when this energy exchange shifts in the right direction.
And what would you say, what are some good first steps to what I call moving from other focus, what you just described, being focused on the man, to becoming self-focused, right? And really focusing authentically on yourself, which also means being present with your own energy.
That's a great question. So in terms of your masculine energy, I always encourage women to kind of make a list of all these things that they're kind of waiting to do in their own lives. A lot of women are waiting in other areas, for their love life to get on track. And it's that energy, that's where you need to kind of shine a spotlight. Because another thing here is you are attracting a mirror image of your own masculine energy, right? So your own masculine energy that's running your life, that's what's going to show up in the men you're meeting and attracting. So if you're attracting men who don't want to commit, you can ask yourself, where am I not committing to myself, right? Where am I like 1 foot in, 1 foot out in some other area? And it's all related to yourself. You will attract men who make you feel like you're not quite good enough. It's just a system. And I just see this all throughout the hundreds of women I've worked with. So take a look at your own masculine energy and see where you can start making some connections of where it's showing up on the outside in men.
I love that, right? Because you attract who you're being, and oftentimes it's really the blind spots that we don't think of, where we're not aware of. Well, I'm always committing. I'm always in. I'm like, really? What about the relationship to the world or to yourself? Because that's oftentimes the last place that we're actually looking at. So that's really so brilliant of you to point that out, right? And I'm sure the women are like, oh my gosh, I never even thought that way, right? And what else?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, it's just so true. I mean, I have so much to say about that. You know, if you attract men who keep you waiting, you're waiting on them to make some decision about you or the relationship. Where are you waiting in other areas of your life? It's all interconnected. So everything we're talking about here is working from the inside out, making some shifts within yourself so that the man in front of you steps up, or you attract a new man who's totally ready to commit to you, and just because you are you, right? You also want to work from the outside in too, you know, towards creating a deep connection with a man, which I believe is truly the key to his love and commitment.
And I really love that so much because, you know, first of all, it gives me really hope because, you know, and the women out there, because that means it starts with you. It's not something you don't change the man, but it's like, good news, girlfriend. You know what I mean? Now you just have to find out, where is that particular blind spot, and where are you, you know, not paying your bills on time, or whatever it is, right? Because it's like small things like that, where we're sending that energy out into the universe.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's all related. It's all interconnected. So it's a great thing because you just have so much power as a woman and just as a human being. You know, once you start making some shifts within yourself, I can guarantee you different kind of men will start showing up. Or once you lean back and take your laser focus off of your man, if you're in a relationship, he will start to see you in a whole new way and really start wanting to move that relationship forward. And if he doesn't, you're going to get bored with him and lose interest, truly, because you've like moved up another level. It's so interesting. I've just seen that happen over and over in my clients.
Yeah, because you evolve out of it, you grow out of it, right? And it's a value of yours. And sometimes stability is more the value of the man. So there's like a clash in that, right? What's another good step, Helena, to move really from casual? Because I have so many clients and women that come to me and say all the time, you know, I'm dating guys. That's not the problem. But how do I get from this casual to committed? And when do I have these conversations around, are we committed, or should I wait until he says we're committed?
It's such a great question. Oh gosh, I just have so much to say on this topic. I did a whole program called The Art of Getting the Commitment You Want, which is 7 steps to getting the lifelong committed relationship you desire. And what I really would love to talk about, to answer your question, is step 4 of this process, which is creating a deep heart-to-heart connection with a man. So what I see in a lot of women is they're so focused on the commitment, right? They want to get that label of girlfriend or wife or fiance, and they can sometimes, when they do that, ignore or even starve what I believe is the number one most valuable asset in the relationship, which is the connection. So if it's a little counterintuitive, but if you can reverse your thinking on this a little bit, focus on creating a really deep, strong, powerful emotional bond and connection with a man. The commitment will just like take care of itself, because he's going to see you as that one woman that he can't live without, truly. So creating a deep heart-to-heart connection with a man is really key when it comes to getting the commitment you want.
Well, you know what? I can see already some women having this question mark in front of their head and saying, Helena, what does that even mean, a heart-to-heart connection with a man? How do I know when I have a heart-to-heart connection, or how do I know when I don't have a heart-to-heart connection?
It's such a great question. So I always say first that the way to connect to a man's heart is always through your own heart first. So it all starts with you, just like so many of the tools and concepts I teach, that what we've talked about today earlier. You know, if you're up in your head trying to create some connection with a man mentally or something, it will never work. That might get you a good friend, and there may be attraction, yes, but the key to making a man fall in love and just seeing you as that one woman he never wants to lose is, you know, creating that heart-to-heart connection. It involves getting out of your head and into your body, basically out of your masculine energy into your feminine energy, and tapping into some of these deeper parts of yourself, like your emotions and how you're feeling. So men, you know, I always say, this is my own personal opinion, I think we women are way deeper than men in a lot of ways. We are more conscious than them. We're connected to ourselves, and even to the universe and to others in a way that men can only get connected to through us. So when we can tap into these parts of ourselves and start expressing ourselves from our heart, from our feminine energy, that's what causes the man to drop into his heart, and that's what creates that powerful connection with him. That's kind of an overview of it.
So now you know, ladies, why men are so drawn when you're in your feminine, when you're in your emotions, because they live through you. If you're not emotional, it's almost like we teach them, like energetically, how to feel, and we remind them of that. Would you say that's how you could sum it up?
Yeah, they get to these deeper parts of themselves through us connecting to ourselves first. It is just the only way, like I mentioned. It's all about you connecting to your heart first. It's so powerful when you can learn how to do this correctly.
And what would you say keeps a woman from connecting to her heart, and to not just to her heart, but like to her emotions, to anger or sadness, or, so it doesn't always just have to be the happiness emotions. It could also be the emotions that we tend to push away.
Oh yeah, those emotions that you mentioned, the ones we tend to want to like distance ourselves from, are actually the key. That's where you need to go, because otherwise things stay really surface level in the relationship. And I see this happening over and over. To answer your question, there's a lot of reasons why we get cut off from our feelings. We can just be kind of on autopilot, busy, going through our day, sort of going through the motions, living on autopilot. And we just kind of forget to drop down into our feelings and really tend to that part of ourself, or uncover that part of yourself. Another thing is fear. We can tend to be afraid of our anger and our sadness and anxiety and those sorts of things too. And it's the running away from those strong emotions that keeps the connection blocked between us and a man. So you have to go first. You have to get in touch with some of these feelings, embrace them and love them and accept them. And then when a man sees that you accept yourself and your feelings, that's how he knows that you're going to accept him and his feelings. You can tell a man all day long that you accept him just as he is and that you love him and think he's perfect, but a man won't believe that you're going to accept him until he sees that you truly love and accept all the parts of yourself.
That's so huge. And it's really, what it really shows is like that you show it through expression, not through your words. It's not verbally, it's not an intellectual exercise, right? So what's the fifth key to have a man commit to you?
Oh, I love that you said it. Yeah, so this was step 4 of my 7 steps. Step 5 is the fact that men follow their instincts. Men follow their instincts. Most men do not, they don't analyze the relationship the way we women tend to do, right? We can tend to talk endlessly about it to our man, which is not a good idea, in my opinion, usually, or to our friends and family. For a man, it either feels good to them and they're moving the relationship forward towards commitment, or they're not. They're feeling it and they're moving things along, or not. And the only thing you can do under those circumstances is shift your vibe, I like to call it. You have to shift the entire relationship dynamic, the entire energy exchange. You have to lean back and shift the whole thing. In other words, trying to get a man to just commit to you or do what you want right now, it's never going to last, right? You have to shift the whole thing. A man might say, okay, I'll be your boyfriend. But unless he really feels this magnetic pull to come towards you, it's just an instinctive thing for a man. It's there or it's not in the moment. So I really encourage women to heal, or in many cases, reverse the entire relationship dynamic before even bringing up the subject of commitment.
Yeah, because there's something that's very primitive, and I don't care how sophisticated and educated and whatever else you are and enlightened, we still have that primitive part inside of us, and you'll see it all the time, right? And if we push it away, well, you pay the bill, right? No pun intended.
Yeah, I mean, we've evolved as a society, but men's brains are hardwired the same way they have been since the beginning of time. You know, he has to truly feel like you're the one for him, and no amount of talking your way into his heart or trying to convince him of how great the two of you would be together. I'm laughing because I've certainly tried that and it doesn't work. It's just, that's masculine behavior, which will just push him away. So you have to go about it a different way. You can't do it by talking about it.
Yeah, it's really like for playfully engaging versus saying, I'll be the best girlfriend ever, believe me, you know? So like you're not in convincing mode. You need to you want to allure him, right? You want to invite him to have another bite of cake from your life.
Absolutely. I love that you said convincing mode. That is the key number 2, my 3 keys to attract the man you want. My free gift that I'm offering everyone. You have to get out of convincing mode. Convincing mode is masculine, competitive behavior. It comes across as desperate and needy. It kills a man's attraction to you. It cuts off the connection. And it automatically forces him into this distancer role or resistor role, even if he's a nice guy and even if he likes you and is attracted to you. Once you jump into convincing mode, it forces him into this resistor or distancer role. So you have to get out of that. I love that you brought that up. So important.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we have 2 more steps left. What are steps 6 and 7?
I love it. So 1 is allowing true intimacy. Very, very important. And I also include in there the last one is expressing your needs in a way that a man can actually hear. Expressing yourself in a way that brings a man closer rather than pushes him away.
So let's talk more about allowing intimacy. Again, it sounds easy, but what can a woman do, or what is a woman doing to not allow intimacy? Because again, she might be like, I'm allowing intimacy. He's not the one who's not intimate, right? I hear this all the time. And I'm like, well, so what are women doing unconsciously to not allow intimacy?
I'm like laughing over here because I've so been there, and I totally get it. I think we probably have a similar background. So I'm right there with you. I love this conversation. So just like I always say, a man can't love you any more than you love yourself. He can't value and respect you any more than you respect yourself. You can't be more intimate with a man to a degree that's beyond where you're at with yourself. You know, the degree to which you can love someone else and allow him to love you and be intimate with you is only that which you've accomplished inside yourself already. So we talked about this a little bit in creating that connection. It's all related, right? It all starts with you becoming emotionally intimate with yourself, not stuffing these parts of yourself down, but rather embracing them and listening to them and seeing what gifts they have for you. And that's kind of the first step to doing that.
Yeah. And it's easier said than done, but take the first step, ladies. And it's really just about feeling whatever is present for you. Even if you feel frustrated right now, great. Feel the frustration that you didn't know that before, or that there's work to do, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, exactly. You want to feel those feelings, feel that frustration, feel all that anxiety all the way down to your toes. That is beautiful. You want to feel all your feelings without acting out of them in a way that's going to do damage to your relationship or push him away, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last one you said is really speak in a language that he understands. Can you say a little bit more about that? Because that is so huge.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, there's so much that goes into all of this. So I love that. I'm just kind of giving you an overview here. Expressing yourself, which includes expressing your needs in a way that actually brings a man closer. It's all about expressing yourself coming from your feminine energy. So rather than telling a man what you want or need from him in a way that pushes him away, it all starts with expressing your feelings. Like, wow, I'm feeling a little anxious right now, or even I'm feeling a little insecure. Those things are great to express to a man. You just don't want to be doing it coming from a place of lack or attaching an expectation on the end of it. Like, I'm feeling anxious, so I need you to do this differently to solve my anxiety for me. Or I feel insecure in this relationship, so we need to get committed so I don't feel that way. Feel the difference there? One is it just expressing yourself because this is who you are. You're a warm, open, feminine woman. The other one is actually coming from a masculine place of trying to make something happen. So there's a big difference. You just want to keep it all about yourself and your own experience.
Yeah, and really make sure that don't communicate before that when you are attached or when you have an expectations, maybe not such a great idea to communicate in that moment.
Oh my gosh, I love that you said that. A great tool that I always have my clients do is before they have some of these conversations or say or do anything, really ask themselves, what am I hoping will happen? Such a great thing. What am I hoping will happen? And if you can answer that strongly, like, well, I'm hoping he'll see what a great partner I would be, or I'm hoping he'll commit to me. It's a big clue that you have an agenda. And if you think a man can't feel that, you are mistaken, right? Men can feel, they're so sensitive. It's this vibe of like, ooh, she wants something from me. She wants me to do something that I'm not freely doing on my own right now. And it's always counterproductive. It always leads to more feelings of lack. It amplifies the negative feelings that you're already feeling. So big clue to catch yourself in those moments.
Yeah, so really thinking about what am I hoping will happen, and you better not have a clear answer to that. You better just like, whatever happens.
I was just gonna say, you took the words right out of my mouth. If your answer is I'm just expressing myself because it feels good, or I'm bored, or I want to, this is who I am, I'm just expressing my feelings, then go for it. Then you can say whatever you want when you're coming from that place where you're not attached so strongly to the outcome or the result.
Right, absolutely. Well, it's so much fun talking with you, and so much to learn. And I'm sure there's so many ladies out there who are like, gosh, there's so much more to learn. I mean, I'm barely getting my feet wet, Helena. Like, so how can I continue working with you?
Oh my gosh, yeah, thank you so much for asking. So like you mentioned at the beginning of the interview, my 3 keys to attract the man you want: report and audio training is free on my website, helenahartcoaching.com. I'm sure you're going to post a link to that. And that's really, I'm all about getting into your own subconscious drives and turning things around at the foundation so that everything else just falls into place. And that will be helpful for you no matter where you're at. If you're single, looking to attract a really high quality man, or if you're in a relationship and you want to bring your man closer and inspire him to want to be with you forever.
Awesome. That sounds so great. And the link is below, ladies. So just go ahead and click it. And before we end today, I would love to hear one success story, Helena, that you had with like a favorite client or a favorite transformation that you experienced and that you might have not even expected. It was so good.
Oh my gosh, I have so many. Actually, if you download the audio training for free in my free gift, you'll hear from some of these women who just made such huge shifts that they wanted to get on the call and tell the world about it. So one of them, you'll hear her on there. Amazing woman, was single her whole life, wanted to get married. She was stuck on an ex-boyfriend who was long distance. Very typical situation I hear from, stuck on a man who just wasn't doing the job, wasn't stepping up. Totally, made huge shifts, started online dating, met her husband, and was married to him a year later. So that's a typical story I get all the time. I just have endless, countless stories like that. A lot of women love to come on my website and be on my calls and tell the world all the shifts they made using these tools. So it's so rewarding, such an amazing thing. But that's the one that stands out in my mind the most.
And that really shows, again, no wasting time. It happened within a year. So this can go fast, ladies, right? If you have the right mentor, if you have the right strategies by your side, this doesn't have to take a lot of time. So Helena, thank you so much for being here today. And for the ladies, I'll talk to you next time. Take care.